I never imagined that a simple dinner could shatter my entire marriage. Yet, as I stand in the doorway of our bedroom, watching my husband hastily pack his belongings into a suitcase, his expression unreadable but resolute, I realize just how mistaken I was. My heart pounds so violently I can barely catch my breath. I try to speak, to explain, to plead, but no matter what I say, Daniel won't stop. Please, just listen to me. I beg, stepping forward. He doesn't even glance at me. Instead, he grabs another handful of clothes from the dresser, stuffing them into his bag with mechanical precision. I already listened, Mia. I saw enough. His voice is controlled, clipped, but beneath that restraint, I can hear the fury simmering just beneath the surface. I wasn't doing anything wrong. I whisper, my voice cracking. It's the truth. At least, I thought it was. I truly believed meeting my ex for dinner was harmless, just an innocent catch-up. But now, looking at Daniel, his clenched jaw, his rigid stance, the way his eyes betray something between disappointment and heartbreak, I realize how naive I had been. It all started with a message I never should have answered. I had been home after a long day, scrolling absent-mindedly through my phone, when a notification popped up, a name I hadn't seen in years. Lucas. Hey, stranger, I'm in town for a few days. Would love to catch up. Dinner? I hesitated. Lucas was my ex, but there had never been any dramatic fallout between us. Our relationship had ended not in flames, but in a slow, inevitable realization that we simply weren't meant to last. He had been charming, reckless, unpredictable, exciting, even, but never steady, never dependable. Daniel, on the other hand, was everything Lucas wasn't. He was loyal, reliable, the kind of man who didn't just create memories with you, but build a life. So why did I even consider saying yes? Maybe it was nostalgia. Maybe curiosity. Maybe, deep down, some small part of me wanted to prove something to myself, that I had fully moved on, that seeing Lucas again wouldn't stir up anything. Sure, dinner sounds good. Just catching up, right? I had even added a casual emoji, as if that somehow made it more innocent. Of course, just two old friends reminiscing. I should have told Daniel, but I didn't. Instead, I convinced myself it wasn't worth mentioning, that he'd overthink it, that he might get jealous over nothing. I assured myself that leaving out wasn't deception. It was just avoiding unnecessary conflict. I never realized how much that one decision would cost me. The restaurant Lucas picked was intimate, too intimate. Soft lighting, flickering candles, more suited for an anniversary dinner than a casual meetup. An uneasiness settled in my stomach the moment I slid into my seat. But then Lucas, always a charmer, cracked a joke about how ridiculous we used to be, and just like that, I was laughing. For the first half hour, it was harmless. We talked about work, old friends, the places we'd been since we last saw each other. And then something shifted. Lucas leaned in, his voice lowering, his gaze holding mine a second too long. "You look amazing, Mia," he murmured, his eyes lingering in a way that made my stomach tighten. Across the table, his fingers barely grazed my wrist. You know, I still think about it sometimes. That's when it hit me. That deep, sinking feeling in my stomach. This was a mistake. I parted my lips, ready to set the record straight, to remind him that I was happily married. But before I could say a word, I felt something else. A presence. I turned my head, and my breath caught in my throat. Daniel. He stood near the entrance, his gaze locked onto mine, his face unreadable. For what felt like an eternity, he just stared. No yelling, no accusations, just pure, crushing silence. And then, without a single word, he turned and walked away. I shot up so fast my knee slammed into the table, sending my wine glass teetering on the edge. "I have to go," I mumbled, barely registering confusion on Lucas's face as I grabbed my bag and rushed out. By the time I got home, Daniel was in the bedroom, furiously packing his suitcase. My stomach twisted. "Daniel, please, just let me explain." My voice wavered as I stepped closer. He didn't even look at me. "Explain what?" His tone was unsettlingly calm, but I could hear the storm beneath it. "That you met your ex in secret? That you let him touch you. I swallowed hard. I should have told you. I know that now. But I wasn't hiding anything. I just didn't want you to get upset over nothing. Daniel let out a cold, hollow laugh. Nothing. He finally turned to face me, his eyes dark with disappointment. You really think what I saw was nothing? I opened my mouth to protest, to tell him it wasn't what he thought, but the words wouldn't come, because deep down I knew, if the roles had been reversed, if I had walked into a restaurant and seen him laughing, leaning in close to an ex, I would have felt the exact same way. It wasn't cheating, I whispered, desperate, though even I could hear how weak it sounded. No, Daniel said, his voice sharp with hurt, but it was betrayal. I flinched. So that's it? You're just leaving? He let out a slow, uneven breath, shaking his head as he zipped up his suitcase. I don't know, Mia. I just know I can't stay here tonight. I stood frozen, watching helplessly as he grabbed his things and headed for the door. I wanted to stop him. I wanted to beg him to stay, to promise I'd do anything to fix this. But the truth was, the damage was already done, and I had no idea if it could ever be undone.